Hi everyone, this is Crash Me Twice, and today I share with you part 2 on how I solved my issue with the WINWING Viper Grip's antenna elevation knob. If you haven't seen the previous video about it, you may consider watching it to understand what the next steps are about. Okay, we are back at the assembly table, and here's my grip. You just seen me making that bushing from brass. Here it is. I reduced this section here, which goes through the grip, and that section goes on the inside. So it will go into the grip like this, right? So from the inside into the grip. And what this fine area is out here, and that is exactly 0.12 millimeters. It is very thin, and it took me several tries on my not super accurate lathe to get this done. So I have a bunch of trial and error ones until I got it just to the right size. This knob with the magnet in the center for the Hall sensor. So the knob goes in like this. This comes from the back like so. And now this has just enough clearance to turn the knob freely. See, it doesn't even fall down because it's almost held by suction because it is such a little tolerance. Now this side here makes up from the inside with that stupid bubble-gummed Buna O-ring and a washer. So we don't need any of those. Certainly not the O-ring. And once this is in, you can see that right now if I put it in, there's just about 0.1 between that thread and the knob shaft. So that means when the knob is inserted and turns, there's enough of a step down for the washer not to not to rub on it, but not enough to make it wobble. I mean, there is no wobble really, because we have such a tolerance which is so close to what it should be. So if I don't have that bushing, I don't know if you can hear it or see it on the camera, but yeah, you can see it. There's A, too much of a tolerance in there, and B, because to do this with that O-ring and that washer and that nut in such a way that this whole thing starts to wobble. When it wobbles, it obviously can't engage properly with those two detents in here. But if it's flat and not wobble, then it will engage, because as soon as I wobble a little bit, I can go over it. And the knob just goes all the way through it, or it scratches. So what I also did is I cleaned this area in here out using just a 400 grit sandpaper. I fold it and we'll roll it into a small roll like so, and then I bend it again in the center, and that gives me a very small rounded piece of sandpaper here. Then I cleaned this area out. It had a lot of like not so great cleanup done previously. It was just as it was from the cast, and made it super smooth because that's what we want. I also degrade the outside area where the knob goes in. So after the 400 sandpaper, I use 1000. And I do the same thing. I roll it up, flatten it, and then I bend it over. It looks like that. And then I went ahead and did the same thing with the 1000 sandpaper until it feels really smooth. Once it's all smooth, you may want to check the inside too, so you don't have any grading in here. You can hardly get into it, but if you use the sandpaper in this fashion, you can also clean up the inside. You just have to work a little bit around it. You can even go through here, bend it up a little bit and hold on to it. Of course, the easiest way would be taking this board out, but it has glue in it to hold it in place to engage with both sides here of the grip. So I left it alone. If this would have come loose, well, then I would have taken it out for now, because the hot glue is not the greatest, so I didn't want to mess with it, and then I have to re-hot glue everything. I already have to re-hot glue this cable here to hold. What I did is practically hot glue stuff in for assembly purposes, so that the cable does not go over screw holes or anything. So they made it so that with the hot glue, they went through here, stuck it in, then hot glued it before assembly, and this way those cables stick between those posts and don't go above it or whatever, makes assembly difficult. So it's not a long-term thing what they wanted to do there. They just needed to some way to assemble it. And I think the same is with the contacts here. They just hot glued them so they don't pop out. But yeah, not my preferred way, but it works, I guess. With those little nuts, they go in here and they hot glue them in place so they don't fall out on assembly, because you got two on this side and you got one on this side here. So they put a little spot glue on it just to keep that in place, and then it will come off obviously once you insert the screw and this nut centers in there. So, you know, it's a simple way of doing it, and maybe it's even a smart way of putting a little spot of hot glue, because the hot glue will come loose once that screw centers. So it's not intended to hold that nut permanently into that position. That bolt here will do that job. This is just made so that when you assemble it, that those nuts don't fall all over the place. Okay, so here we are. Let's install a little sleeve bushing here. Alright, back here, I already inserted the sleeve. Fit like a glove, fit in without any issues, but it's very rough. So I'm gonna sand this, because the inside here you won't see once the button is in there. So I'm gonna sand this inner part to make this a little bit more smooth, because it does not feel smooth at all. Alright, I'm gonna get some grease here. Okay, this is the grease I'm using. Get it at auto value here. Number 105 motor assembly grease. I use this grease also for the lace and the mill. It's pretty good stuff. Nice and messy. Okay, got some grease here now. We don't need much. I'll put a little bit on here. And that should do it. And now I'm gonna put a little bit on that hub here. Just about this amount, so not a lot. We don't want to get anything on the thread, so let's try this here. Feels very good. And now we're going to install the nut, which is going to be a lot of fun here. So here's our nut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that a little out. Just a little outward. So we can start our nut. Now let's see if we can put that nut on here. Alright, we got it threaded in. So turn it back, hold the nut, tighten it a little bit until it feels right. Yeah, there's practically no... All the other buttons have more wiggle than this one now. That's fantastic here. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Not with this system or on cast. Unless I install a bearing, this doesn't get any better than that. And the grease will do the rest, and the wear will do the rest. Oh, I'm very pleased. I decided to use a little bit of epoxy to put on the area between that nut, between that nut and the thread of the knob. So how I'm gonna do that is use a Q-tip, snip the ends off, then I use a flat plier, squeeze the ends flat, and this way I have a very nice little applicator. I'm using this method for pretty much all my glues, including when I do modeling for plastic glues. It's a simple solution, allows me to apply glue very fine. And before we apply it, I'm going to set that one to the center position, and I'm going to put that glue right here, so it's easy to be removed if I need to remove it with just a shear cutter. Alright, I made some epoxy up. Let it sit in for another couple of hours to make sure it doesn't run anymore. So let's give myself here a little bit of a glue on here. About this amount here. That's all we need to keep our nut in place no matter what. And now we're going to apply a little bit here. Try not to get anything onto the board, or this will glue in place forever. Alright, you can see it here. I applied just a little bit of glue. It's hard to see because they're both gray, but this will prevent the nut from coming loose. Well, that's it for today. Next time, I will be testing the fix in the Sim App Pro software and put the grip back together. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. And don't forget to check out my Discord channel and visit my website at crashmetwice.com for more info on this and other projects. If you would like to support this channel, you can buy me a nice cup of coffee from the link below or on my website. Hope you all enjoyed this video and hope I earned a like from you. Crash Me Twice, out.